Today we need to get into Jung Kook shamed for no reason and why the backlash is actually quite sickening and not in a good way. We also have Jung Kook rumored to be dating a dancer and what happened there, and then HYBE deleting a bunch of clips. So hey Dumplings, is Dave decide hater or not, make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on, grab your dumpling, taste spilling mug merch, and let's go. We need to talk about something quite shocking about one of BTS's reality shows. Actually, it was recently revealed by Suga. If you are not aware, Suga has his show Suchita. This is a talk show that Suga created where he and any idol can join, where they just have a drink, chat, and talk about their new music or whatever they have going on. He has had guests like Taeyang from Big Bang and of course the BTS members when they had their solo debuts. Both Suga and whichever member is on the show often talk a lot about their career and usually expose some really juicy deets involving things that they have done. Things like their reality show and just behind the scenes deets on music too. V recently went on the show and he talked about his solo and all those things. Apparently V showed Suga a bunch of songs a couple of years ago and Suga asked if any of those songs would be on the album and V said no. Given how finicky the boys can be with their music, it's not surprising that songs that have been worked on many years ago would be less interesting for V to put on his album now, as not only would the type of style not be trendy anymore, but it wouldn't really reflect whoever V is now as a person. It's very interesting to hear just how many songs V has worked on over the years and possibly how many he has just thrown away. My opinion with art and creating things to put out is that at a certain point you should just accept whatever it is and just post it. I think it's better to just put out things than to just throw it away or even attempt to have your team try and sell the song. Especially if you wrote the song, why not just sell it to someone who may really love it, and that way you can still make some money from the royalties. Suga also exposed something very interesting about BTS's reality show In the Soup. This is the BTS show where all the members go on vacation and they document their time in the forest. They go into this big house and they just act like themselves. They don't have to worry about censoring themselves because the show is filmed and edited by their label. And they can actually just show a real unscripted version of their vacation, which by the way, you can react to this show with me and other dumplings over on Patreon. We currently do have a limited $1 tier with limited spots that is open and we have a great time giggling and fangirling at the silly stuff that the boys do. Like for example, every morning when Jin wakes up, he takes a yoga mat and hits a punching bag. But anywho, apparently Suga revealed that about 90% of the show was cut out by HYBE. This was apparently very shocking to everyone and many people were saying things like gay love making was probably what was cut out from the show. Y'all are so unserious and funny. Of course, there's people who think this did happen, but I want to say it's highly unlikely that anything actually scandalous happened. There probably were things like cursing or walking about without a shirt that ended up being cut, but overall, of course, 90% of things are going to be cut from the show, as literally the cameras were rolling 24/7. It was probably way more than 90% because there was like a couple hundred hours of footage. I think they stayed in the forest for a week or so. So no, I don't think HYBE's deleted footage shows much or would have shown much. There has, however, been a lot of drama surrounding Jung Kook and the fact that his promotion has been unfair. I think this is silly because if you look at his promotion, he is just using a Western style of promoting, all of which was probably decided way before he even released anything. There were likely tons of deals and conversations about the rollout of Seven and who was going to be a part of the success of it. In the last few days, there's been a lot of quote-unquote unfair treatment with the other members' albums and solo stuff that people are saying that since Jung Kook is not experiencing these same things, that he is receiving better treatment. We are talking about things like allegedly talking about removing 10,000 sales. Billboard in July talked about pausing the charts a bit, and people believe it's to check the legitimacy of each sale before publishing a number. But since 10,000 sales were talked about being removed, and then another situation in which allegedly these sales, in which a company did not have enough inventory, this infuriated fans when they announced that they will not be able to supply all of the albums that were sold. And basically the site took people's money, but there wasn't an album behind it. This is not a huge deal, as of course the company will then just issue a refund to some people and then only sell the amount they might actually have, or put some people on a wait list. I was, however, reading comments about people saying that they wanted revenge or wanted to attack the company. Are you actually okay in the head? Revenge for what? Not having enough albums? Claiming that it's unprofessional to not think about the magnitude of these sales and not ordering enough. That's not unprofessional, that's just how that works. You have no idea how many they ordered. They could have literally ordered 1 million thinking it was enough, but then it wasn't. But this is their fault? What if they simply didn't have enough room in their factory or company to house more than 1 million albums, so that's all they ordered, thinking this hopefully will be enough? How is that unprofessional? When I see comments like this, I'm not really sure if the person who wrote this is like a 2-year-old or if they're an adult that literally needs psychological evaluation. To also go back and blame HYBE for this action and for HYBE not having enough albums, this stuff happens. Things sell out. In fact, they usually just make enough to meet their quota, and then the rest of the sales just go into pre-order or on a wait list. Because they can't just manufacture 10 million albums in a warehouse. There's not enough places to put them, and then also this would then halt production of all the other albums in the company, because every machine or third-party resource that would just be printing out these albums. And if on the off chance the company can't sell the 10 million albums, V will be called a flop for not selling out. And then also the company has just lost millions of dollars just to have a bunch of albums sit at a warehouse and can't get rid of them until maybe a few weeks. Stuff like this happens before with other artists, so companies choose to avoid it. However, people were upset about these two issues with the sales and accused Jung Kook of giving Scooter Braun sexual favors because Jung Kook doesn't have to deal with these issues. However, Jung Kook is working with a literal different team and doesn't have an album to sell. It's much easier to manufacture even a 1-song CD or digital sale of 1 song than it is to sell full albums with posters, photo cards, keychains, and all that stuff. Jung Kook has also been getting a bit of an issue over someone he followed on TikTok. He followed a dancer who is absolutely beautiful, and this shocked everyone. People watch Jung Kook following like a hawk, and when that number goes up or down, people then get very nosy to figure out who Jung Kook has followed / unfollowed. People noticed that Jung Kook followed a very beautiful dancer who is very good. Very quickly, she got a bunch of hate because she is beautiful and because Jung Kook likes her. She started to get threats and people really attacking her for literally doing nothing. Of course, there were likely comments telling her to keep away from Jung Kook. I didn't personally see those, but I'm sure they exist. And then many armies flooded her comment section with love to rid those haters. People were very upset that anytime Jung Kook decides to like or comment on a pretty girl's page, people get upset, and it's because they see a pretty girl as a threat. Because if she was unattractive, they assume that Jung Kook would not be interested in them romantically, and I can't even tell you how messed up that is. Jung Kook can literally just follow her because he takes inspiration from her and thinks that she is just a great dancer, nothing more. People thinking that he will eventually date her is such a weird and inappropriate thought, and then thinking that just because Jung Kook follows her, that she would be interested in dating him. Y'all forget Jung Kook doesn't speak English. Y'all know the #1 most important thing in a relationship is communication. It will be very hard for it to work if the two don't have a way to talk. Other people who were kinder were very scared over this idea that since she is getting all this hate, that the dancer might never want to dance again, quit, or just shut off her social media. However, the dancer did respond to all this in a video when someone asked her how she sleeps when she is getting all this hate from Jung Kook obsessed fans. She says that she sleeps very normally and does not care, and we love an unbothered queen. If I was her, I would have just pissed everyone off more and just post a fan edit of Jung Kook or do another dance to Jung Kook's older songs. This way it'll really rub it in the immature fans' faces. Let me know what you think. Make sure you check out my Patreon for more videos, link down below. Thanks for this lovely comment right here. Love you, bye.